Hello. Welcome to the religious program of the Lord Among Us. I am Msgr Roland Boudreaux, the archivist for the Diocese of Houma-Thibodaux. We continue the subject of morality and ethics, but today we will concentrate on the meaning of conscience. What is conscience? We will now take a break and listen to the clergy duo. Thank you, clergy duo. We now continue, as we mentioned in the introduction, that we will explain to you, according to Catholic teaching, what is the meaning of conscience. So far, in all our past talks, we have been explaining moral values. The values that are described as good, morally good. We know that morality is essential for human being, for human conduct, because moral values tell us, indicate to us what is in our best interest, what will make us good people if our morals are good, and what will make us happy people if our moral life inspires us to satisfaction, to harmony, and to peace of living. Everybody has a conscience. A lot of people think they don't. But for centuries, and all the people who have investigated and searched into the science, into the knowledge of morality and ethics, know that everyone at a certain age, if he's a normal human being, if he doesn't have any serious emotional problems, any mental problems, that normally around the age of 7, that he begins to make judgments. He begins to be aware that certain things are good and should be done and ought to be done, and certain things are bad or evil and should not or should never be done. By the time he reaches the age of 7, from his awareness, his first sign that he's an individual, that he's a person, that he has been trained, he has been disciplined, and a lot of the discipline and the training that he went through in the home, if the home does recognize discipline, that there were a lot of things he should do. These are precepts, the things that ought to be done. There were things that he should not do. These are commands. These are commandments. They're not exactly the same. The precept is for the positive things and the commandments for the negative. As we know, this is the way that the commandments of God, the moral values of God, were stated in the Old Testament. Thou shalt not kill. That's a command. Thou shalt honor thy father and thy mother. That's a precept. See, if you get the distinction, but it's very important. It's about this. So the development of conscience, where there is no adverse circumstances or the conditions of the individual, that it should be a normal experience. What is implied in when we say this is that conscience is a personal thing. See, in my conscience, I am responsible, I am accountable to myself. In matters of conscience, I stand alone. If, for example, I've been accused rather, if you're a person in your family, a brother or sister has been accused of murder, and he has been under the power of the law, the law has arrested him, and that he goes to jail. You may not approve of murder, but you may go with your brother. Nothing wrong to give him support, not to support the murder, but after all, he is a human being. He's a human being who has failed. He's a human being who has sinned. And if there's one message of Christ to the world, and that's really basically the reason why he had come into this world, I have come not to condemn, but to save the sinner. So it's important to notice that particular distinction. So conscience is a personal thing. That as an act of the exercise of our conscience, which means that we have made a free choice concerning a moral value. That one of the moral values that we bring up so often, it's not the only one, is life. That we recognize life in its many, many forms. Life in an individual, in a person. You cannot exist without being a living being. And this is universal. Any person who is a living being, to be a living being, he must possess life. He must possess that energy, that power that vitalizes him in his human body. And the vital energy or power of life has many functions. It makes us grow, for one thing. All living things grow. If they stop growing, they're in danger of not existing. That for a human eye, for example, to see, it has to be a living eye. When we gaze upon a corpse, we see some eyes, but they don't see. That for example, locomotion or walking, and not only to have the ability to walk, because we have legs, we have nerves and muscles, but to actually walk, we need life. So what are we saying here is that life is a vitalizing energy, it's a power that shows any being that it's alive because of these various functions. Now, we must have conscious life. And conscious life is a personal life. As we said a few moments ago, in our conscience we stand alone. People may support us, people may praise us, people may condemn us, people may discriminate against us, but only in our inner, deep down in our spirit. Not so much our soul, because soul means body, soul is a kind of relationship, but in our spirit, it's in the spirit that we are persons. An animal has a soul because it has life. A plant has a soul, it has life. Man, when he has a soul and he has life, it is more than just living. He has spirit. And spirit usually refers to the person, every individual, every human being is a person. And so this is in this area that we can speak of conscience. And conscience, everybody is born with a conscience, whether you're a believer or not. That as we advance in human development, we get to be an average person, and that one of the greatest assets to being a person, one of the greatest aids to development is our moral values, our acceptance of moral values, our practice of moral values. And how does this come about? This is the function of conscience. There are all kinds of ways, and people may speak of it, but we may come to that. But right now, let us realize that conscience is a function of our mind. That is why we said that if a person's mind is defective, he is not mentally developed, then his conscience is not going to work so well. A conscience is a judgment. It's a decision that we make we make concerning what we think about, what we desire, or what we anticipate, what kind of conduct we intend to do. So the conscience then is this operation, this function of a mind that is passing judgment as a result of some kind of education and teaching or example concerning what is moral behavior. When a human being behaves morally, the only reason that can explain this is that his conscience is applying to his person and to his behavior and his conduct moral values. For example, if I have respect for life, there is a certain feeling that I have when people are sick or people are in danger, that I will do whatever I can to assist this person, to help him in his life, in his living, and this is a result of conscience. I respond because I have a conscience. That means that I have a power in me that enlightens me, that moves me to reach out to this person because I believe in the value of life. We will now take a break and listen to the clergy duo. We continue now the explanation to present to you a definition, which means when you define things you get meaning, of the question of conscience. We saw that conscience exists in a person. It's not out there somewhere. It's I have a conscience. I am a conscious being, which means that if each individual, each person is different, in a certain sense, each one will exercise this basic power, potential in a different way. And in the past of our talks, we have mentioned the different ways in which consciences are influenced by environment, possibly by even genetics. They're looking into that at the present time. At one time, we didn't speak of them. Everything was environmental. Now, the two great influences in any process, any vital process, any development of life, is what is inside the guiding principle in the being that is growing and the effect of the environment upon that life. And we can't go into all the examples, but we know that's very important in any kind of life, even animal life. We live here. You live here in a fishing community, and you know the condition of the water, of the food in the Gulf and in the marshes affects the development of that fish, those shrimps or whatever sea animal it might be. So the conscience then is a personal understanding, a personal awareness, and a personal decision concerning what I think, what I want, or what I will do. That this thinking is moral when it conforms with moral values. See, the moral values are out there. That's what we call objective. But we take these moral values into us, we analyze them, and they influence us to develop our conscience to make conscientious decisions. Now, conscience works two ways. Conscience leads us to good when we make good decisions in keeping with moral values. If, as a result of our conscience, which is free, we will not to follow the dictates, the command of our conscience, this creates the possibility of evil. And moral evil is sin. This is what the church, which the Judeo-Christian tradition has always meant by the meaning of sin. That is a failure to observe, to put into practice, to live by moral values. And we saw in the past that these moral values are decided by the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments are the norms, the rules, the values by which people would live. in order to be good people and ultimately to be happy people. See, goodness comes first. A lot of people say, I want to be happy, I want to be happy. But they're not good. How will they find happiness? Happiness is, the foundation of happiness is goodness. Is to be a good person. And we know that many things that makes us good. On the other hand, we know that evil, of being a bad person, is the failure to practice, to live by the moral values that makes us good. So now coming to give you a decision of the experience of a conscience. That first of all, the conscience is a judgment. It's a decision. And it's a free decision. It must be. You can't force a person's conscience. If a person does good under blind obedience, he is not acting morally. See, he may not be committing sin, but he is not acting morally. And so many of the regimes in the world today and in our past history has been to forcing people to do certain things which are immoral. See? And in this country, while certainly abortion is immoral, it is the free decision of a woman to decide the outcome of this pregnancy. And that the decision is made for the abortion because since 1973, it's legal in this country. It wasn't so before. So a lot of people think that what is legal is moral. There's a conflict, you see. The conflict here is that it's legal to destroy human life. The moral law says, thou shalt not kill. And so are there circumstances in which you can destroy purposely, by human decision, by freedom, human life and not be murder? See, well, we'll discuss that later. But this is part of the problem. So a conscience is a judgment which a person makes about something he anticipates to do or he's thinking about, and that this judgment either agrees with, conforms with, follows moral values, or it doesn't. See, he's not thinking about a picnic, or he's not making a decision about what kind of clothes he will wear, or what school he's going to, or university. This is a decision, a thinking out, a reasoning process by which the person is coming to a conclusion, coming to a settlement in his own soul, in his own mind, his own spirit concerning what he will do. And what he is choosing to do, is it right or is it wrong? See? And therefore, that when this process of judging, of comparison, of reasoning, a reason arriving at some kind of a conclusion, then the pronouncement of this is where the conscience comes. Some people call it the voice of conscience. This comes about a reality, an experience, that here before this evil, I stand alone. You see, it's my thinking, it's my decision, it's what I wanted to do. And for example, what I wanted to do, what I contemplated to do, was to kill, to murder this child, or to abuse this child, so much of it, burn them with cigarettes, twisting their limbs, starving them, beating them. This is the decision people make. Now, whether there are extenuating circumstances that can never justify evil, but may explain it. You see, that's really another area, and that's the area of law, of legality, in that way. So the conscience pronounces, the conscience dictates. Your conscience, who is you, part of you, it could not be anybody else. It is your decision that says that either you did right or you did wrong. And it's final. You see, it's final. It will be with you, this decision, this bad decision, which has brought moral defect, lack of goodness, and peace and happiness in your life. You created that. You, nobody else. It's your personal judgment. This is the heart of conscience. And in serious evils, in serious decisions concerning the violation of very important values, that this is, whether a person wants to admit it or not, this is the meaning of sin. You see. And is it the end of the world? You see. There's a ray of happiness. There is a new strength that can come to us. And especially it comes powerfully to Christians. Because all of this, though punishment will follow, I am not accountable in the last day, the last judgment to God. I can be forgiven. God is merciful to one who does wrong. So we'll see you next week. We're glad that you're listening. May God protect you, be with you. And now we'll listen to the... Hello. Welcome to the Lord Among Us, a religious program of the Diocese of Houma-Thibodaux. I am Msgr Roland Boudreaux, the archivist for this Diocese of Houma-Thibodaux. And we will continue discussing, as we did last week, concerning the definition, the meaning of conscience. But now we will pause to listen to the harmony trio.
All I had to offer him was broken.
Thank you, Harmony Trio. As we mentioned in the introduction, that we are continuing the explanation of the definition, the meaning of conscience. And we're giving this teaching, this doctrine on conscience, as believed by and taught by officially the Holy Roman Catholic Church. And that this is not something that was invented yesterday, but that in conscience is not something that people only have come to know, but as we said, believers, unbelievers, atheists, agnostics, everyone has a conscience. In the human soul, in the human spirit, in the human psyche, there is a voice or a power or an urge that as we go about living, making decisions, making choices, that some of these are good and bring us joy and happiness. Some of these decisions are wrong. They're bad. They bring sadness. They bring guilt. They, in some cases even, they will bring anxiety, fear, and depression. We have explained all about how these moral values came about. This is looking at morality and ethics on the, from an objective point of view. That, for example, the 10 commandments of God, the 5th commandment says, "Thou shalt not kill." That's enunciating, that's proclaiming a value that is contrary to life. That the correct value is love life, be committed to life, promote life in all its manifestations and its forms. This is the positive understanding of morality. Life has been with us since creation. It's not a matter of obligation or a matter of conscience now in the 20th century to begin to proclaim or to say things that are right and wrong. We know that because of culture, because of environment, because of the spirit of a certain community or throughout the world, that these environmental factors have influenced the development of culture. We've already mentioned on this program in the past that among certain people in the world, that not to eat the remains of their parents was a disgrace, was morally wrong. See? So what do we see here is that what's questioned there is the moral value is not correct. But and keeping in conscience that these people were conscientious. They didn't know any better. We cannot blame them of guilt by our system of morality. But what is wrong is that the truth, the reality, the correct assessment and evaluation of life and life conditions was defective. And we feel that, and we believe as Christians, and that's why we're so adamant and strong about morality, is that all of these obscurities, all of these perversions were eliminated by the declaration and the promulgation of the truth. And the final truth concerning moral behavior is enunciated to the world by Jesus Christ. This is part of his greatness. No one else before who have preached morals, that he preached a complete system of morality. And it didn't begin with him. It began several centuries before, when finally God is involved. That's what makes it important, because he's the truth. He shows us the way, the truth, that he called Moses to Mount Sinai and revealed to him the basic moral values and that how we ought to keep them. Christ said, "I have not come to destroy the prophets and the law. I have come to fulfill." And what is the fulfillment of the law? If this is your supreme value in your life, the other values will follow without any problems, normally. Thou shalt love the Lord thy God with thy whole heart, with thy whole mind, with thy whole strength. And thou shalt love thy neighbor as thyself. Do this, and you will live, and you will have eternal life. Now, the big, what is most important about the understanding of that is, what is love? What does it mean to love? See? And we're going to go into this, but we sort of sidetracking. First of all, what creates love is an attraction. See? That it is against human nature, it's against the way we are made as a being to really love something that is not attractive. See? And what do we mean by it? What makes a thing attractive? Because it's good. We perceive it as good. What is so important about good? Because it contributes something to our greatness. It satisfies. It harmonizes with what it means to be a human person. See? Now, if that's true with human love, with temporal love, with the experience of love in our life, and certainly people have had different experiences of love. See? And one of the greatest experience of love, we believe, and the church believes, is the love of saints. You can't be any better. Love the Lord thy God, him alone, with thy whole heart, thy whole mind, thy whole strength. This whole mind strength means totally, in completeness. Nothing can be better than God. Nothing can be more attractive than God. And if the basis of love is attractive in goodness, it has to be God. He is all good, all perfect, all merciful, all knowing, almighty. So the Christian conscience is to implement into our life this not only this ideal, which it is ideal, this challenge, this mission, this commitment. So the conscience is the one that's going to bring about this process. And the conscience is a part of the mind. The mind is where we learn, where we get information, where we analyze information. Either it's true or it's not true. Either it is good or it's false. These realities that we come. And that is why that the conscience that is to direct us, the consciousness that is to make us good, to bring happiness, to bring peace, and in the Christian understanding, to bring salvation, is the conscience that is informed, the conscience that is educated. One of the things perhaps we don't realize, one of the reasons for homilies, for religious instruction, for Catholic schools, for Bible studies, all of that, the real purpose is to be in contact with an attractive God, with a good God, with an intelligent God, with a God who is loyal and faithful and trustworthy, so that we can return to him in complete love. He can be totally meaningful in our life. And this can only be brought about by a development of conscience. And while maybe you may get the wrong idea, this is talking over our heads. This is the conscientious life, the development of conscience, the attaining of the ends of conscience is a process. It is something that we go through with experience. Sometimes we succeed, sometimes we fail. Sometimes we're full of joy and happiness, sometimes we're sad. We're ashamed. We have lost. We will now take a break, and we will now listen to the harmony trio. Thank you, Harmony Trio. In the last segment, a few minutes ago, we were discussing, trying to define, make clear the meaning of conscience. What is a true conscience? What are we talking about? That it's an individual phenomenon. All of us have a conscience. That means there is some mechanism in a normally developed person who has no mental problems, emotional problems, that as a result of reason, that he should be able to judge, to be reasonable about what is good, and the conscience aspect, therefore it must be done. It ought to be done. All good, all moral good, all moral personal decisions must be followed. And this also, this judgment, this dictate, this urge, this experience that all that is not moral, all that is evil, must and should be avoided. This is the dictate of conscience. Now, what happens in these two decisions, in this dilemma, and this judgment? If I make the right decision, I should experience joy. I should experience happiness, peace. I'm better off now, especially when it's a serious decision, than I was before I had to analyze this moral choice. On the other decision, which is the bad decision, the wrong decision, is that there is fear, there is anxiety, there is remorse. I shouldn't have done that. How shameful it was. How ridiculous it is on my part to have done that. And this never goes away, see, as a rule. When it's a serious matter, we can commit things, do wrong things that are not of that serious important. For some people who are sensitive, for some people who are perfection seekers, that this remorse may remain longer and trouble them until they can talk the matter over, for someone to approve the evil, but to give a person support. When a person has conscience problems, and not only does that he violated his conscience one time, but it's almost an addiction, that certainly the great act of charity, of love, because God is understanding. Why shouldn't we be understanding? And what is so important that we're trying to emphasize is that in the committing of wrong, that we stand alone. We can't blame anybody. We may try, doesn't make sense. I did it. I chose it. I wanted it that way. And now I live with my decision, and the effect of doing wrong is universal. The effect is guilt. See? This is what normally follows a decision of conscience which chose the wrong thing, to pursue the wrong moral value. And, guilt, normally, serious guilt, in a person who is sensitive, who is normal, doesn't have emotional problems or mental problems, that he has to confront this guilt. Something has to be done. I can't live that way. Of course, in the Catholic Church, we know that through our faith that we believe in the forgiveness of sins. What does that mean, the forgiveness of sins? The removal of guilt by some act, that we will experience the mercy of God through the support of another person. See, the person will not approve our guilt. He will not bless our sin. But he has the power, in the name of God, to say, God accepts your sorrow. God accepts your contrition. God accepts your desire to undo what you cannot undo. It can only be dealt with to loving, merciful forgiveness. That's how we deal, the proper way to deal, we believe, how people who do not have our faith, how they deal with guilt, I do not know. You have to ask them. You see, it's not something we should forget. We know that over time, sometimes, that if it becomes an emotional problem, that sometimes we can be treated for the emotional problem. See, a lot of people go see psychiatrists when they have emotional problems. And maybe the psychiatrist can help you with the emotional problem, but he cannot take away the guilt. He cannot relieve you of remorse. This is a human condition. This is part of being a normal human being. When we do good, we experience joy. When we do evil, we experience pain. The greatest of pain, as some people can tell you, is the pain of guilt, the pain of remorse. Because we stand alone, answerable only to Almighty God, a just God, but merciful and kind and forgiving in all that we do. We, as a Catholic teaching, moral theology teaches us, we can, now that we understand what conscience means, we can sort of investigate the certain characteristics of conscience. And we can deal with the good consciences, the positive conscience, and we can also describe those that are not positive. The first thing about a conscience, if we are conscientious people, is what we call a certain conscience. You see, whatever this deliberation we're making, should I marry this person if it's in the social field? I'm a doctor. Should I do this surgery? I'm a lawyer. Can I accept this case? Am I knowledgeable? Do I know how to bring justice? See? And so that whatever these problems are, and it's a problem of right and wrong. That's what conscience deals with. It doesn't deal with health problems, it doesn't deal with financial problems, educational problems. It deals with right and wrong problems. And right and wrong before God. See? That He's the ultimate. He's the end. He's the final. And thank God, thank Him that He is good and merciful. So our conscience must be certain. That means whatever we're going to do after we made the decision, and that we believe that in this case we are making the decision to do right, that we must be certain. Now, what intrudes, what counteracts certainty? Doubt. You see, a lot of people live with doubt. They live in doubt. They're perplexed. They can't be sure that what I'm doing, is it the right thing? I want to do the right thing. And therefore, to be conscientious, to merit, to deserve the joy of commitment to God and to moral values, then this will come about if I am certain. If I have any doubts, I must recognize these doubts. I must seek advice. I can never act in doubt. In the doubt of whether this is right and wrong, because I'm ready to do evil. I'm accepting to do evil. And that's exactly which makes evil, moral evil, because I intend it, I will it, and it's wrong. So a certain conscience leaves no doubt about what I am to do. And it is a conscience that is certain, that it's convincing. Now, just a certain conscience could be erroneous. I can be very certain. Let's take the example sometimes happens hunting. That they're hunting deers, and I understand they each take their stand away, and that one of these hunters sees something through the trees. It's kind of foggy or misty. And he is not aware, he's convinced, he's certain that what is moving is a deer. And so he shoots. When he goes to the deer, it's a human being. It's a person. He was certain, but he was in error. So we're going to talk about what is an erroneous conscience, but a certain conscience can be erroneous, and all conscience must be certain. He is not guilty of murder. He made a bad judgment, and that made he's in error, but he did not intend to kill a human being. See? And so time has come now to end this discussion concerning conscience. We thank you very much for listening. Hope you listen every week. And we ask God to bless you, to keep you informed, enlightened upon this knowledge, because following one's conscience is the only way to God. Thank you.
The wind is singing the spirit song to tell us that we're free, and it won't mind if we sing along, for maybe then we'll see how free we're meant to be. The wind moved over the waters when your song of love began. It pulled the earth together to breathe life upon the land. The wind is singing the spirit song to tell us that we're free, and it won't mind if we sing along, for maybe then we'll see how free we're meant to be. When our fathers fled from bondage, the wind swept back the sea. They long since sing your praises, for your spirit set them free. The wind is singing the spirit song to tell us that we're free, and it won't